Hello everyone and welcome into the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com alongside George O'Gorman, Mike Samsel with you for another week of Mercer County football, recapping the week that was and previewing the week that will be coming up. And a couple of scores, George, pop out at you immediately after last week. We'll go over the results coming up in just a bit here on the Mercer County Football Show presented by the St. Francis Medical Center. Three numbers pop out at me. One of them is Hopewell Valley 36, Notre Dame 22. One of them is Lawrence 82-41 for Hightstown. And Lawrence has scored 144 points in their last two games.
Well, when you've got running backs like Samai Mitchell and Cameron Kitchen, and you got a quarterback like Nick Falkenberg, and you really, Rob Radis doesn't have much of a bench because most of his younger kids are really underclassmen, freshmen, sophomores. So, there really isn't any other people to go to. So what are you going to do? When Samai Mitchell's in there with the ball, tell him, take a knee?
Right.
So, what are you going to do? But we knew that Lawrence had the potential to be a very good team. That was obvious coming into the season. But the big concern for Rob Radis and the Cardinals was, can we stay healthy? The one thing they didn't want to see was the injury bug hit that team early and, put players out for the season. They've been able to stay lucky. Now this week they got a bye.
Yeah.
So whatever injuries they may have had, if any, will get a chance to mend. But, it was a very high-scoring weekend. How about Ewing scoring 44 points?
Yeah.
Granted, there was over a winless New Egypt team, but Ewing is a ball club that can do some things and, get into the playoffs for, I guess, the second time in about 4 years. And, Hopewell Valley, a very impressive performance, probably the most impressive of the weekend.
Yeah.
Over a good Notre Dame team, which, the way things are going, is going to have a tough time getting into the playoffs. And even if the Irish did make the playoffs, they're probably going to be going against one of the top seeds in the state, like maybe St. Peter's Prep, Paramus Catholic, one of those squads. But, we're into the last weekend in October, and when you stop and think about it, man, this season has flown by. Most of the teams, the playoff pairings will be coming out in 2 weeks? I guess it's through 8 games.
Yeah.
And right now we've got a couple of clubs that are in excellent position. Trenton leading its group 5. Lawrence ahead in Group 3. And Hopewell Valley is right in there too. The interesting thing is West Windsor North, right now, as of today, is in playoff position with only one win.
Yeah, one win and they would be the final seed in Group 4. It just kind of shows you how tough Group 4 has been this year. We certainly do want to give credit to Hopewell Valley and send some get well wishes out to the leading rusher in Mercer County, at least heading into last week. And that was their running back, Andrew Yuska, suffered an ankle sprain last week. Hopefully Andrew will be able to get back out there and get into action. But this was a good football team. Nice new stadium over there as well. The fans are rowdy. That's a heck of an environment to watch a football game.
Yeah, it is. And the fact that they've added some bleachers now on the visitor side, which they didn't have until this past weekend.
Yeah.
That they had something else to it. And, with building up for a good finish to the season in the last couple of regular season games for Hopewell Valley. They've played, 3 games in a row now because they're home this Friday night against Steinert. So they would have played Allentown, Notre Dame, and Steinert on consecutive Fridays. And Dave Caldwell and that ball club over at Hopewell Valley, they're on their way. They're already at their best season ever.
Yeah.
And remember, it's a program that's only about 10 years old since Dave Caldwell started it. And that was a breakout game for Austin Fellows.
Sure was.
He really was on the money. And, some Mark Henner and Mike Geis and Drew Wiley. He's got an excellent core of receivers.
Yeah, he absolutely does. The Mercer County Football Show is presented on WBCB1490.com by the St. Francis Medical Center, your heart hospital in the city of Trenton, and also the Trentonian. Be sure to read them online or in the pages of the Trentonian 7 days a week. More information at Trentonian.com. George and I will come back and take a look at the results of last week's games throughout Mercer County. You're watching the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com.
St. Francis Medical Center's new walk-in clinics are now open in Hamilton and Ewing 7 days a week. Now, when that unexpected cold or flu pops up and you can't get an appointment with your doctor for 2 or 3 days, you can visit St. Francis Medical Center's walk-in clinics in the Hamilton ShopRite on Route 33 or the Ewing ShopRite on North Olden Avenue. These new walk-in centers are manned by a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant, and they can give you a prescription when you need it most. They even provide immunizations and physicals, and most health insurance is accepted. No insurance? No problem. Visits cost as little as $49. Appointments aren't necessary, and most of the time there's no wait. St. Francis Medical Center's walk-in clinics now open in the Hamilton ShopRite on Route 33 and the Ewing ShopRite on North Olden Avenue, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. till 8 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays from 9 a.m. till 3.
Welcome back to the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com alongside the Trentonians George O'Gorman, Mike Sampson with you. Excited for another week coming up of Mercer County football. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. The Mercer County Football Show is presented by the St. Francis Medical Center, your heart hospital in the city of Trenton. Taking a look at the results throughout Mercer County last week. Ewing 44, New Egypt 7. We talked about that. Ewing putting up 44 points against the winless New Egypt team. But right now, George, in Group 3, Ewing in pretty good position to make the playoffs.
Yeah, very good position. They can pick up some more points this weekend if they can knock off Robbinsville. And Ewing is on a pretty good roll right now. And credit to Drew Bessler, Devontae Ellis. Really, I mean, he's moved up, I think, about 4th among the leading rushers in Mercer County. So Ewing is on a roll, and that's a good ball club. It's good to see a turnaround in Ewing football.
Yeah, it certainly is. And we talked to Drew a couple of weeks ago out at the 12th Man Touchdown Club. He said he just had the feeling that his team was on the verge of a comeback. Well, they're 2-0 since we have that talk. Robbinsville 40-22 for Riverside. Delran 27, Florence 2. And at least in my mind, not a huge upset, but one worth mentioning. Northern Burlington 14, Rancocas Valley 13.
Well, no, I would classify that as a huge upset. Not taking anything away from what Northern Burlington has done, but RV was rolling high. I mean, their only loss had been to Eastern, and they were looking ahead to this. Maybe they were looking ahead to this week's game with Trenton on Saturday at 1 o'clock, which will decide pretty much the Colonial Division title in the West Jersey Football League. But Rancocas Valley got stunned in that one, and credit to John Rising and the Greyhounds at Northern Burlington pulling off that 14-13 win. They've been up and down team a little bit. They opened up. I saw them early in the year when they blew out Princeton, but they lost at Cinnaminson the following week. And Northern Burlington is a good ball club, and they can run the ball. They got a lot of weapons, and credit to them for knocking off RV. That's a big win.
Yeah, it certainly is. Another week, another beatdown for Trenton, 36-7 over Hamilton. Hopewell Valley, 36, Notre Dame, 22. Talked about that game in the open. Burlington Township, 21. West Windsor, Plainsboro South, 13. And not a feel-good story, a feel-great story, unless you're a Steiner supporter, is West Windsor, Plainsboro North, 34. Steiner, 13. First win in 18 tries for Chris Casamento and the North Knights.
And only their second win, and I think their last 27 games over 2 years, and their quarterback Kevin Murphy up to 1,500 yards now passing, and he just keeps putting up huge numbers. He possibly, I have to go back and check this, possibly could break the CVC record for passing yardage in a season.
Yeah. Which
Jay Graber used to hold, and then it was broken by slips my mind now. The kid from West Windsor, Plainsboro South.
The one before Chris Evans.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I know his name too, and I can't think of it.
Your memory starts to slip. But Kevin Murphy, I mean, he's done an outstanding job. You figure they got the leading passer, average-wise, completion percentage-wise, and yardage-wise in the county, and the 2 leading receivers.
Yeah.
So there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to move the ball. In all maybe that game is a little bit misleading, the margin of that game. But Chris Skirto, the quarterback from Steiner, did not play.
Yeah, they
He
started
had an
Kyle
injury,
Muller.
and Kyle Muller played, and Kyle had only had a couple of backup appearances this season. And doesn't get any better for Dan Caruso and his Spartans, who have to go to Hopewell Valley now and play on Friday night. And Hopewell Valley is on a roll now after what we saw them do, with Austin Fellows and that group. And how about Joey Immerdino? When Andrew Yuska went out in the first half with an ankle injury, sophomore Joe Immerdino stepped in, ended up scoring 2 touchdowns. I think he had about 80 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that team is deep, and they just keep getting more, kids coming in and young kids doing the job for them. I mean, it's a credit to, to Dave Caldwell and his staff, and to, Todd Smith.
Yeah.
Come over there and done an excellent job as the offensive coordinator.
And for Hopewell Valley, they've always had the defense. It's just now that they have the offense as well.
Yeah, they have the offense, and, and that was Austin Fellows' best game. He admitted it.
Mm-hmm.
He said he thought he was, a step away from having a kind of breakout game, and not that he needed a breakout game to let people know how good he is, but as we've mentioned several times in past weeks, there's some good quarterbacks in Mercer County, and Austin Fellows really stepped up and had a huge game against a always good and probably better than one of the better defensive secondaries in Mercer County.
Yeah.
That the Irish have, and Evan Paillet and now Lorenzo Bryant has stepped in, and that's a good Notre Dame defense.
Yeah, it is. It's very young, but credit to Hopewell Valley for what they did. Some of the other scores around the area, we already talked about Lawrence over Heightstown, 82-41, 45-7. The North Stars keep rolling, 36-5. Willingboro over Princeton. The long year continues for the Little Tigers, and what ended up being the game of the week probably was Holy Cross 26, Allentown 23 in overtime. That is a darn good Allentown football team that's staring 3-5 right in the face.
It is a very good Allentown football team, and it's a young team. And as Jay Graber had said earlier in the year, these kids don't want anybody to think, well, they're just replacements and it's a rebuilding year. Well, they don't consider themselves having a rebuilding year. They've been hit by a brutal schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, when you stop and think about it, they opened up with a win over Steiner, and they came from behind. Well, they didn't come from behind, but they pulled away in the second half. Then they went out to Utah, and which was a totally new experience, and got beat by a team out there in, I guess it was in Alta, Utah, I think it was. And since then, you stop and think, you go back, now they've got Nottingham this week. Last year they handed Nottingham its only loss. They had Holy Cross. They had Trenton the week before that. They had Hopewell Valley. It's brutal for the Redbirds. I mean, the schedule that they've had back to back to back, probably comparable to the schedule that Chris Casamento and West Windsor North had.
Yeah.
When they opened up with Rancocas Valley, Hopewell Valley, Notre Dame, on consecutive games. But interesting football, and then to throw into the mix, you got to feel bad for what's going on at Princeton. They just don't have the numbers.
Right.
They started the season with maybe 24 kids. Had a couple linemen that were injured last week. They've got some good kids there. Good young sophomore quarterback, Dave Beamer. He can throw the ball. He sets up in the pocket well.
Liam Hellstrom's a nice little
Liam
player.
Hellstrom, the Hellstrom boys are good. Liam Hellstrom, one of the better receivers, among the leading receivers stat-wise in Mercer County. But, they just don't have enough weapons.
Right.
Most of their kids are going both ways. And, I mean, they go down and play Burlington Township this week, right? And then next week they're scheduled to play Trenton.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I had already heard that there was some thought as late as a week ago about possibility of Princeton, having that game canceled and taking the forfeit or whatever. It's not unusual. It's happened already in New Jersey. Right. Last week, for example, up in Middlesex County, Cardinal McCarrick, because of a lack of healthy players, had their game against South River, I believe, canceled. And the NJSIA allowed them to do it, and they, I don't know, I'm not sure if they just canceled the one game or if they canceled the rest of their season. but they let South River go out and add another game to a team that was idle that weekend, had a bye.
Right.
So I don't know what the status is with Princeton, but I heard that there was some talk that they may, in that a week from, not this weekend, but the following weekend, maybe cancel the game with Trenton. It wouldn't be the first time Princeton's done that. They did it probably about 20 years ago when they were playing the Notre Dame.
Yeah, we'll certainly keep an eye on that for you here on the WBCB Sports Network. 2 games for you on Friday night on the WBCB Sports Network on the Jersey side of the river on 107.7 FM and 107.7 The Bronx Stream 1. It will be Nottingham at Allentown. That should be a good one. Me and Jimmy Z will be out there with you. That's on 107.7 FM and 107.7 Stream 1. On 1077thebronx.com, Stream 2, you will see Notre Dame and West Windsor Plainsboro South. We'll be back with more after this.
The Gator Jerry Blavitt. And are you looking for the best local news coverage, the best sports coverage, both Philly and New York sports, and the best high school coverage? Then look no further than the Trentonian. It's the only local newspaper covering Mercer, Bucks, and Burlington counties 7 days a week. No one does it better than the Trentonian. It's coverage you can count on 7 days a week from Levittown to Burlington, Hamilton to Florence, Trenton to Newtown. It's the Trentonian.
Welcome back to the Mercer County Football Show here on WBCB1490.com alongside the Trentonians, George O'Gorman, Mike Samsel with you. George, we didn't have a chance to talk about it or address it last week. Didn't really talk about it on Friday night. Here is kind of more of the appropriate forum, if you will. Irving Fryer is out at Robbinsville. Some legal troubles for Irving, and you just hate to see something like this because the ones hurt by it most are the athletes over at Robbinsville.
Yeah, and it's a rebuilding year for the, for the Ravens. More credit to them, but a lot of the distractions off the field. Mm-hmm. They bounced back and had a rather impressive win on the road at Riverside the other night.
40-22.
Put up 40 points, and that's a Robbinsville team that's probably still a year away. Mm-hmm. And they're getting better. Now they go in to play Ewing, and credit to the underclassmen, especially in the Robbinsville program, with the distractions off the field involving Irving Fryer, and the school board and the superintendent and everybody stepped right in and suspended him, and I guess now he's been dismissed as coach.
Yeah.
But Robbinsville, to their credit, and actually I think Robbinsville, glancing over the PowerPoints, Robbinsville, amazingly, well, not amazingly, but with 2 wins, they're up in, they're fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, in Group 3.
And if they could possibly pick up a win over Ewing this week, that would really give them a lot of quality PowerPoints. And really thrust them into the middle of that playoff picture in Group 2.
Yeah, they're in Group 2. Ewing was in Group 2. They're now up in Group 3 after the reshuffling in football throughout the offseason. I say the ones hurt most by it. Obviously, Irving and everyone involved in the scandal will have their day in court. I just mean from the Mercer County perspective, it's unfortunate to see for the kids over there. And again, we mentioned Robbinsville at Ewing. That game will be coming up on Friday night on 107.7 The Bronx and 107.7thebronx.com on Friday night. We will see Nottingham at Allentown. Allentown, no way around it, needs to win that football game.
Yeah, they have, and it would be probably almost a must-win situation for Jay Graber and the Redbirds. A couple of years ago, they went into West Windsor South when Brian Schoenauer was a sophomore, I guess it was, and they had to knock off a very good West Windsor South team in order to get into the playoffs, and they came up, I think, a touchdown short and didn't make the playoffs. And they came back the next year, got into the playoffs, and lost at home to Neptune.
Right.
And then the following year, we're back in the playoffs as a top seed, and lost that first time with Neptune. The first game they went into the playoffs, they lost to Neptune in overtime, and Neptune then went on to win at Northern Burlington and then defeat Steiner up at Rutgers to win Central Jersey. And then last year, the Redbirds came back, gaining a lot of power points with their win over Nottingham, got into the playoffs. Everybody thought it was a potential of a, rematch between Allentown and Nottingham. And Allentown lost a great game, didn't go overtime, but it was
Right.
a great passing performance.
Yeah,
And
Neptune once again.
And then, of course, Nottingham went on to win, knocking off Neptune in the championship game. But it would be nice for Allentown to get there because Jay Graber, despite these last couple of losses, 3 in a row, he's done an outstanding job with that program. And we knew that in the beginning that, he's got a great football mind.
Yeah.
And Davion Thomas, the running back, has done an excellent job. Drew Apostolico, Ed Rittenhouse, a young back who stepped in when Thomas missed a game and a half. He's done a good job running the ball for them. That's an Allentown program that is going to stay good. Maybe not a powerful team like they've been the last 2 years, but they're going to stay good and be very respected for a while.
Yeah, they certainly will. Jay Graber's done a really outstanding job over there at Allentown. Steiner takes on Hopewell Valley. That one will be on Friday night. Also on Friday night, we'll have Princeton at Burlington Township. Northern Burlington will take on West Windsor Plainsboro North. That's a tricky game. Northern Burlington needs to watch themselves coming into North on Friday night.
Yeah, if Northern Burlington is resting on its laurels, having knocked off Rancocas Valley, they better not just look at the record and think that West Windsor North is a patsy.
Right.
But I don't think that John Rising is going to let that happen with the Greyhounds. I think, John Rising, he knows what's going on in Mercer County, and the fact too that a lot of, a number of the Northern Burlington kids are children of people from Mercer County that have moved into Northern Burlington, into the Mansfield Township and Columbus area, and they know that all they got to do is look at the stats in the Trentonian, and you can see where Kevin Murphy is leading, and he's been there leading the leading touchdown thrower and passer the entire season, and they've got excellent receivers.
Yeah, they certainly do. A lot of weapons over at West Windsor Plainsboro North. The final game on Friday night, you can listen to it on 1077thebronx.com, stream 2. Head to their website. It'll all be very clearly laid out. You'll be able to click on which game you want to listen to. Also, you can download WRRC2 on your smartphone and get it there as well. And it's West Windsor Plainsboro South and Notre Dame.
That's a game that's been quite a rivalry over the years. West Windsor South has been struggling. Their only win was over Heightstown. They've got some good kids. Nick Benfer, he can run the ball. Diego Coutinho, the lineman, was all CVC lineman last year. They've been using him as a running back more. Chris Scanlon is an excellent receiver who can, also plays outstanding defense. And Andrew Schofer,
Yeah.
I mean, he can throw the ball. They just haven't thrown it a lot, but he can throw the ball. You never know what Notre Dame team's going to show up. Not taking anything away from, well, they really got out to an early lead on Hopewell Valley, and then Hopewell Valley did an outstanding job shutting them down.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about Hopewell Valley. I mean, that's 2 weeks in a row I've seen them against very good teams.
Right.
And
Notre Dame had an outstanding game plan for about 19 minutes, and then it just kind of got away from them.
When Austin Fellows start throwing the ball,
Yeah.
I mean that's as good a performance as I've seen from a quarterback in a long time. And one of the people who's been kind of instrumental, he's on the sidelines all the time at the Hopewell Valley games, is Jim Kowalski, former assistant coach at Ewing, when Ewing had its 2 state championship teams back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And he was really impressed. And he's been around the Hopewell Valley program. He's coached a number of those kids. Not kids, I call them kids. They were kids when Jim Kowalski coached them, who are now on the staff, the coaching staff at Hopewell Valley. And he said that Austin Fellows' performance was one of the best quarterbacking performances he's seen in a long time. And believe me, Jimmy Kowalski has seen a lot of good football performances over the years in his great career.
Yeah, certainly. Mike Geis one to keep an eye out for as well. That young kid, he's a stud playing football. He's certainly one to watch. 2 games on Saturday. Heightstown at Hamilton. That will be an 11 o'clock kickoff.
And teams are struggling.
Yeah, they are.
Pete Bresch's Rams put up 40 points last week, and wasn't enough when you give up 82.
That's tough when you put up 40 and lose by 40.
Tom Hogan's Hamilton Hornets, got the opening kickoff, 86-yard kickoff return by Tyler Wren, and then Trenton just came back and kind of wore him down. And Hamilton was in that game going into the. They were only a touchdown away going into the fourth quarter, and Kyle Bond, the quarterback, who's getting better, and is going to be one of the better quarterbacks coming back next year. He had a couple of interceptions. One was tipped that set up a touchdown, and another one was returned for a touchdown by Trenton. And the score is kind of deceiving because that game really wasn't a difference of 30 points.
No, it certainly wasn't.
Tom Hoagland said, I thought we actually played pretty well.
Yeah.
But they should, Hamilton should handle Hightstown, I would think, this weekend. Dustin Coleman, the quarterback from Hightstown, you got to wonder, if you, probably in the terms of total offense, he's got to be the leader in the county because he's not only throwing the ball well, not putting up the numbers that he had last year when he threw it for 1,000 yards, but he's running the ball.
Yeah.
He's up around 500-600 yards rushing. And he just doesn't have the receivers he had last year. And as Pete Precious said, one of the things that they did was gear pretty much their entire offensive package around Dustin, not so much because of his passing, but because he can run the ball.
Right.
And he had I think he had about 160 yards the other day. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to recall the numbers that he had against, the other night against Lawrence. But again, that was a 41-point performance by the Rams.
Yeah.
Only they gave up 82.
Yeah. Game of the week, really. The main event, if you will be 1 o'clock, 12:45. We'll begin the pregame show on the WBCB Sports Network. You and Sean Lerman will be out there at Trenton at Rancocas Valley. Rancocas Valley, again, another team, after losing last week, they're probably still in good position for the playoffs, but they could really use a win in this one.
Yeah, they are. And, they're in a tough bracket because they're in South Jersey. And, and Trenton is, there was some thought that maybe last week Trenton was looking ahead, looking past Hamilton. I don't know how, because they know that they hadn't beaten Hamilton in 12 straight years. But, it was an outstanding, strong defensive effort by the Tornadoes to come back. But maybe RV was looking ahead. Who knows? You hate to demean the team that beat them.
Right.
But maybe RV was thinking he had another quarterback, didn't have an outstanding game. Playing at home against Trenton, maybe it'll be a different story, and we'll see, because that's a game that probably would lock up the. If RV wins, they would lock up the Colonial Division title.
Yeah.
In the West Jersey Football League. While if Trenton wins, they would still have a regular season finale against Notre Dame to whether they would finish.
Right.
Unbeaten in the Colonial Division. But it should be an interesting game. Trenton can run the ball. Ryan Wharton, another solid performance. Remains either 1 or 2 in the county in rushing. And Javon Clark, a couple of touchdowns for the Tornadoes, and he's only a junior. So a lot of weapons on the Tornadoes side. It should be a very interesting game. We'll see if Chris Franco, the defensive coordinator over at Trenton Central, can come up with a game plan. He's done an excellent job. He's been around the CVC and Northern Burlington for not Northern Burlington, but over at New Brunswick.
Yeah.
And then at West Windsor South, and then at Princeton, and now he's back with Tariq Holman. By the way, do you know what coach in Mercer County, in his collegiate career, intercepted Tom Brady on 2 consecutive passes?
I would have to say Tariq Coleman, seeing as you were just talking about it.
Yeah, Tariq Coleman. And I mentioned something to Chris Franco, and he said, "Yeah, I know, we've seen the tape." I said, how did you see the tape? He says, "Oh, Tariq carries it around with him."
Yeah, I'm sure. I certainly would.
But, that's, credit to Tariq Coleman, what he's done with that Trenton program. And he's got a lot of enthusiasm. And I would think that there's going to be a big crowd there, especially Trenton fans, going down to Mount Holly.
Yeah.
It's only a 20-minute ride.
Yeah.
Down 206. And it should be a big matchup, Trenton and Rancocas Valley. And that has to be some very good games this week, and that has to be the premier game.
Yeah, it certainly does. It'll be on the WBCB Sports Network, starting with the Trentonian pregame show at 12:45. Sean Lerman will have all the play-by-play for you. Don't forget, Football Friday start here on the WBCB Sports Network, 1490 WBCB at 5:30 with the high school football kickoff show. 6:45, we'll have two games for you on the WBCB Sports Network in Mercer County, both of them on 107.7 The Bronx, one online only. We will talk to you from Allentown, New Jersey, me and Jimmy Z, starting at 6:45 on the FM and on Stream 1. And on Stream 2, Sean Lerman will have all the play-by-play of West Windsor, Plainsboro South, and Notre Dame. And that'll just about wrap it up for this edition of the Mercer County Football Show. A big thanks to St. Francis Medical Center, your heart hospital in the city of Trenton, and also the Trentonian for allowing us to bring you this show each week. For George, I'm Mike. We'll see you next week.